Hey, Tom from the Run Testers with another first run review. In this video, myself and Mike are going to be looking at the NoBull Runner Plus running shoe. Let's take a look. The NoBull Runner Plus costs £165 or $179. It weighs in at 279 grams or 9.8 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 8.5 millimeters. The Runner Plus is a cushion shoe designed for comfort and responsiveness. It uses a PEBAX midsole foam alongside a full-length nylon plate to deliver energy return and rebound, while a seamless one-piece engineered mesh is built to provide a supportive and secure fit that's also breathable. The shoe also features a layer of rubber outsole designed for grip, whether that's in the gym or on the road, internal collar padding for comfort, and a removable moulded anatomical sock liner. So the fit for me in the NoBull Runner Plus is true to size. I have had no issues with this over the first run. It was very comfortable, fit me straight away, had no fit problems, so I would stick true to size in this shoe.
So fit for me is okay in my UK size 8. I would definitely class it as a spacious fit, and that's mainly down to the fact you've got this very flexible, loose mesh fabric upper here which extends to the tongue as well, and it gives you a fair amount of space up front in the toe box. You've got plenty of room to kind of spread out there. Elsewhere you've got pretty standard laces here. As I said, the kind of design of the main part of the upper extends to the tongue as well. Now I found it really difficult to get a nice kind of strong lockdown of those laces on that tongue. I really had to pull in those laces in the eyelets to really get them tight and comfortable on my foot. And on one sides of my shoe, I definitely found the tongue kind of slipping about a little bit, so that's definitely something to be wary of here. Elsewhere, the heel collar, you've got a good amount of padding, not a massive amount here, and it was fine for me. There was no kind of real slippage from that point of view. So yeah, I would say go true to size in this shoe. It definitely does fit quite spacious and offers a lot of room, particularly up front in the toe box.
Okay, so before I start talking about my first run in the Runner Plus, I'll probably just give you a bit of information about who NoBull are, because if you're from the running world, you probably don't know a lot about NoBull, because it is a brand that's largely associated with functional training and CrossFit. And because of that, a lot of the kit that exists in the stores that it's got is focused on people that are doing that sort of training. So people that are in a CrossFit box or a gym or a studio, and they're doing various types of training, from like deadlifts and stuff like that to high intensity interval training, and shorter runs as well. So a normal CrossFit session could include anything from short sprints of a few hundred meters to even a mile sprint, but nothing majorly long distance. So this shoe, the Runner Plus, is designed to allow runners or CrossFitters who want to go running and give them a shoe that will give them the benefits they need to go and do longer distance training, running, and maybe even training for like half marathons and things like that. So that's why the NoBull Runner Plus exists. It's the first foray into the world of real running for NoBull. So my first run in the Runner Plus was a park run, which I did at fairly competent pace for me. I wasn't gunning it. I wasn't trying to get a PB or anything like that. I ran fairly comfortably. I also did a warm up and a cool down at a slower pace. And I also tried to pick up the pace a little bit in that park run as well to see how the shoe responded to running a little bit faster. Now, what I found about the shoe, which is quite difficult, is that it's a little bit unclear from the marketing material what this shoe is designed for. And we've spoken to the guys over at NoBull, and I think it's meant to be a sort of jack of all trades shoe. So if you don't own a running shoe and you want something that you can use for training, doing training runs in from 5k all the way up to like 10k, 15k, then this is a shoe that can do that. I do think that it's not a shoe that would go over about 20 kilometers. I definitely wouldn't use this to run a marathon in, and I wouldn't want to race in this shoe at all. It's quite a chunky shoe. It's 280 grams for me in a size 8, which sort of moves it into the realm of more cushion shoes that are designed for durability, support, and comfort, as opposed to those performance elements of running fast and getting PBs. So what I found in that first run is that It's a solid shoe. It felt fine. It felt very stable, and it felt comfortable over that run. But what I would say about it is that I don't think it has any major performance benefits. It has a full-length nylon plate in it. It also has a lot of PEBAX foam. Now, PEBAX foam is the foam that you would find in a lot of different shoes at the moment. It's becoming increasingly popular. But PEBAX foam, which you'd find in something like the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 2, that foam is very soft. That ZoomX foam is very bouncy. This PEBAX foam is not like that. It's a lot sturdier. It feels a lot more stable. There's no bounce to it really. It's just a solid midsole foam that does a good job at cushioning the impact, but doesn't seem to feel like it's really doing a lot. It's not soft. It's not bouncy. It's just stable and solid. And that same goes for that plate. I didn't really feel that plate on that run. But what I did find over the course of testing it over that first run is that I didn't have any issues with it. It felt very comfortable. It felt very nice to run in. It felt very stable. I just didn't think it felt like I could use it for anything else other than that, other than a comfortable training run. The outsole on it is actually pretty good. There's quite a lot on there. It seemed to grip quite well. It does have quite a bit of exposed midsole on it, but the rubber is quite thick. So I think it'd take a bit of time to get down to that midsole foam. And equally, the upper is very nice as well. It has this engineered mesh upper, pretty standard engineered mesh upper, nothing that I haven't seen before in shoes, but it is very comfortable and it's designed to be lightweight and breathable. So over the course of that first run, I think what I would say is that I think it fits into the realm of daily trainers or to cushion trainers that are designed as workhorses. Things like the Nike Pegasus line, things like the Saucony Tempus, where they're really designed to have give you a bit of like comfort and stability, and just be a solid shoe. I would never use a Nike Pegasus for tempo training or anything like that. Likewise, the Saucony Tempus I wouldn't use for fast runs. I wouldn't use this for fast runs. I think it's just a solid workhorse trainer that feels comfortable and allows you to go out running comfortably if you want to with the NoBull brand on it. It also feels like that stability and that solid design to the shoe does lend itself quite nicely to training in the gym as well. So I went to the gym in this today. Felt like a very nice stable shoe. I had no issues at all. Didn't feel wobbly in any way. So I think it is probably a good crossover shoe for those people that are doing functional training but then actually want to go and do some proper running in the shoe as well. And after that first run, I think it's a solid shoe. I just don't think it really excels in any area.
So my first run was a relatively breezy 5k. I did a pretty long run yesterday. Definitely had tired legs, but I did want to take this out and see what it was like picking the pace up slightly. Now, I haven't run it in the NoBull Runner. I know that was kind of a shoe that you probably class as one that worked in the gym and for some kind of shorter running distances. Now, NoBull is saying that this is a performance running shoe, and there's some things here that we've seen in other shoes. So there's PEBAX foam here, which we've seen in Nike shoes and Reebok shoes. There's a nylon plate, which we've seen in Saucony and Dolphin Speed range as well. So potentially this could be a good shoe to run relatively quick in. And in terms of how it felt on that run, I would definitely say it reminded me a little bit of my time in the Nike Pegasus Turbo Next Nature, where that midsole definitely feels a little bit firm, and that's what I noticed here. But if you engage it, you can get a relatively energetic ride of it, and that's what I kind of found in the shoe. And I tried to pick the pace up a little bit. Then I did feel that while it was firm, I definitely felt when you got down in that midsole, you compressed it a little bit more. You did get a little bit of a nice ride out of it. Now, it's not the lightest shoe. I think it falls just below 280 grams. In my UK size 8, so there's definitely lighter kind of daily trainers out there, I would say, that probably fit in this profile of shoe. Did the Runner Plus offer a more excitable ride, a more versatile ride? I think perhaps not. As I said, I only did 5k in it, and I think in that quicker elements of that run, it felt good, but I definitely also felt a little bit of the weight in it as well, particularly at the back of the shoe. The upper is nice and light. As I said, I had a few little issues in terms of the upper. I definitely felt the tongue kind of slipped around a little bit for me on my run. I didn't really get a nice kind of secure feel on the top of my foot. But yeah, it was okay. Nothing particularly amazing. So a couple of notes on the outsole. It definitely, to me, looks like a gym shoe outsole. You've got these kind of exposed areas here. It almost looks like you've got kind of a layer of polystyrene, and then you've got this very thin rubber layer here, which doesn't seem to have a really natural, obvious kind of pattern for kind of running out on road. It definitely feels, again, like I say, better suited in terms of running on kind of treadmills. I would say that's what it kind of screams out to me. So durability wise, I'm not sure what you're going to get from this, what kind of longevity, but I do feel like if you'd be using this on a treadmill mostly. I think there's clues here, particularly in the shape and the frame of this shoe, to say that this is still very much a gym shoe that you can run a little bit in it as well. It's quite wide. I think that's been very deliberate, but I think it's still a shoe that you can jump on a treadmill and you probably do kind of 3, 4, 5k in it relatively quickly. You'll get a nice energetic ride from it. Whether I'd want to run long in this shoe, I definitely think, based on my first run, my gut feeling is that maybe it's not going to be best suited for that. It's still going to be one that works at kind of those shorter distances, particularly if you kind of mix it in with some gym time as well.
So my verdict in the NoBull Runner Plus is that it's fine. I have no issues with it over that first run. It felt very comfortable. At the end of the run, I didn't dislike the shoe in any way. I think it did the job very nicely. I definitely didn't think about it that much on the run. There was nothing problematic in it. But equally, I don't think there's any performance benefits to this as well. I didn't feel like it was doing anything on the run. That PEBAX foam, and there's a lot of PEBAX foam in there, didn't really feel like it was doing a lot. And that, not saying that nylon full-length plate didn't feel like it was doing a lot. So I think the problem with the NoBull Runner Plus is that it's not really defined what the shoe is for. It reminds me of something like the Adidas Ultra Boost range, which used to have performance elements, and a lot of people trained in that shoe. Now it's more of a comfortable shoe where people probably do 5Ks in it, but also do a lot of walking in it because it's a nice, stable, comfortable shoe to wear with a lot of padding in it. This feels similar to me. It feels like it's a shoe that will do some running, and it's fine at that. But really, if you compare it to other shoes, especially at the same price, this is £165 in the UK, which is quite a lot of money. It's a premium running shoe, and you're competing with the top tier of cushioned, comfortable daily running shoes when you're doing that. And I think there's a lot of options out there. So if you are a CrossFitter and you love the NoBull brand, and you desperately want the beautiful designs, I think it's quite a nice design. If you're desperately looking for a NoBull shoe, it might work for you because it will work fine for running. You can have a very comfortable and enjoyable run in this shoe. I just think there are many options out at the moment that cost the same as this shoe or less, which do a very similar thing. Things like the Nike Pegasus line feels very similar to me. Also something like the Saucony Tempus feels very similar to the shoe to me, but the Tempus just feels like it's got a little bit more to it. There's a little bit more bounce to it, and you can pick up the pace a bit more in that shoe. It's a bit more versatile when it comes to cushion shoes. Maybe even something like the Saucony Triumph 20 when you get into the realms of more cushion shoes. But all those shoes cost around or less than this shoe. So if you are a runner, solely a runner, looking for a running shoe, I probably would suggest there are other better opportunities out there at the moment. I'm still going to do some more testing in this shoe over the next few weeks and see if that PEBAX foam feels different over time, if I really warm to it. But for now, I just think there's a lot of competition in the shoe market, and this is a solid shoe, but doesn't really wow me in any way at the moment.
So, initial thoughts on the NoBull Runner Plus. I definitely say I came into this shoe with pretty low expectations. I know that its heritage and tradition is in kind of gym and CrossFit, and that's kind of what I was maybe expecting. A shoe that worked well for the gym and could do some running. Now, it wasn't too bad. I thought it was okay in that first run. I just think when you look at how much it costs, you look at what else you can spend your money on and actually spend less on as well, you're probably going to get a shoe that can still work in the gym, but ultimately will get you a more versatile running shoe, something that offers a midsole that feels a little bit more better suited to shorter and longer stuff as well. I think things like the Puma Velocity Nitro 2, I think things like the Hoka Mach 5, the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 as well, and the 2. I mentioned the Nike Pegasus Turbo Next Nature as well, which I think conjures up feelings of this shoe here as well, but again I think the upper feels a little bit nicer there as well, and I think that can work at quicker paces as well, and you can run, I think, and do some decent kind of longer training sessions in that as well. Mainly I think the upper works a little bit nicer from my point of view as well, my testing with that shoe too. So I think with the NoBull Runner Plus, I think it's a case of it's probably a better shoe than the Runner. It's probably a better suited running shoe than NoBull's other shoes. Is it going to really rival other kind of daily trainer shoes that will work for shorter distances and maybe some slightly longer distances, potentially 10k, but I probably would say the shorter stuff, possibly not. I reserve full judgment when I've done a bit more testing in. My initial gut feeling is saying that it's definitely still going to be a gym shoe that works for some kind of quicker stuff, and it's nice to see that it's got those kind of shoe technologies that we've seen in other shoes. So is there the foundations of a very good performance running shoe here? I would say yes. Is that what we get here? I'm not 100% convinced just yet off that first run. Obviously I've got to do a bit more running with it. I'd like to take it a bit further kind of distance as well. My gut feeling is saying that it's probably going to be a shoe that works at those shorter distances, but ultimately for the price and the other shoes that are out there that you can get for less and offer similar characteristics, and also you could probably wear in the gym relatively fine as well, then yeah, I mean, is it good value for money? I'm not 100% convinced based on that first run.
That's it from us. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and tick that little bell icon, and check the channel out for all the other videos we've got from latest road and trail shoes, as well as running headphones and watches out at the moment. And don't forget, we've also got our monthly podcast that comes out at the end of each month. If you go into the caption below, you can find the link to the podcast provider of your choice, and please listen. And if you like it, we'd love it if you could give us a rating or leave a little note on that, because that would really help us out. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.